Hi guys, I'm Yasmin Gamboa and I am back with another video. So I'm going to sit here and film videos back to back because I'm a mother, honey. I am a mother and a wife and I have to film when I have time. This sit down moment, I am not going to do a Bible study, but I do plan on doing a Bible study, soon. So in this one, I wanted to talk about witches and basically how to protect yourself against witches, because I was under attack for literal years and did not know because I wasn't fasting. I had went on like small little fast, but I was never doing the biblical fast of Isaiah 58. And when I finally did, God just revealed what was already in front of my face. And I just couldn't believe, it was right in front of my face, and I was just so naive and so ignorant to the devices of the devil. So I was just so ignorant and blinded to the devices of the devil. I knew that witches exist, but I always thought that they were just playing a character. They just look at it as like an aesthetic, because the witches that I came across in real life who call themselves witches or like Halloween decor queens and just pumpkins and the color black. So I'm like, you ain't really about nothing, honey. Was I wrong? Yes. Now, when I tell you who the witch that was doing the witchcraft against me, my marriage, my husband, my son, my body, you're gonna be like, what? It is my mother-in-law. And God revealed that to me when I was on my 40-day fast. Now, I didn't realize how much of a real witch she was until that 40-day fast. When me and my husband first got together, he told me, he was so scared to tell me, hey, my sister is this self-proclaimed witch. She just got into this stuff and I'm not down with it. He made it very clear he is a man of God. He's rocking with Jesus Christ, period. Now, when we met, I was 25. He was 24. I mean, I was 25. I was 24. He was 25. And so I'm just young, listen, you rocking with Jesus. I don't care what your family got going on. Now, it was meant for me to meet him at that age and be naive, because God put us together and he isn't unworthy just because of the family he comes from. And I am not, am I saying that right? He isn't. And I am not unworthy because of the family that I come from. So it's good for us that I didn't have the brain that I have now and the spiritual awareness that I have now, because, honey, that would have been, you done. Okay. But God also told me before we went on our first date that he was my husband, and he knew day one I was his wife. I didn't tell him that though, because I was like, Jesus, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So I wasn't that girl that's did you guys say you're my husband? I did not tell him, okay? I kept it to myself and let him prove himself worthy. And he did. He does come from a wicked family, and by the grace of God, he's nothing like them. He would always tell me he don't know no kid that prayed as much as he prayed and that just loved God as much as he's loved God. And it just shows that if you come from a bad family, if you just keep your faith in God, he will protect you and cover you and let you create your own family. Because one day, a man is going to uncleave from his mother and father and cleave onto his wife. So he's going to leave them one day when he grew up anyway. And because he was a man of God during his youth and praying so much and reading the Bible, he read the whole Bible, almost the whole Bible, before he was even 16 or something. So, because he had such a different home life, So he told me this. He was honest with me. But I just thought, when I met her, she's just into the color black and pumpkins, and this is nothing to worry about, basically. And his mom at the time, she wasn't in witchcraft at all when we met. I would say after we were together for like 1 year, that's when she started getting into it. But for me, I just thought it was like an aesthetic. She's burning sage, buying crystals and tarot cards. Now, from what I know now, that's a big no. But it gets even worse. When we moved down to North Carolina, it was this whole chaotic thing that happened. And if you want to tell that, I can, but it's too much to put inside this video. So we came down here, we got our house after we lived with them for like 3 months looking for a house, because at that time, this was after COVID. It's thundering outside, just in case you hear that. But this was right after COVID. Even trying to rent a house was like, the whole housing market, buying, renting was crazy. We was house hunting, couldn't find a house. So we stayed with them for like 3 months. They offered for us to live with them while we house hunted, basically, which was a terrible thing for us to do, hindsight. But when I went on my 40-day fast, God was just like telling me over and over and over that she's the one behind the altars. She's the one. And I'm like, God, no. And then he's like, yes. He just kept telling me over and over and over. And as this was happening, she was actively still sending a text to me. They kind of eased up now because witch has no power against a child of God when you're actively doing what you have to do. You got to pray and fast, and you got to fight back in the spirit. I was never fighting back in the spirit. Okay, so let me tell you some things that I did in the physical realm to check out what God was revealing to me in the spiritual realm. I went to her Instagram because she always had like witchy stuff up, but I've been blocked her pages. So I went to go look, and I see she has voodoo dolls on her Instagram. She has witch spell books, and a bunch of just witchcraft stuff, right? And then around this time, me and my husband were trying to decide if we're going to let her be around our child again, because at one point she was babysitting him. But God had said no, because they were setting up a plan to do something that we told her not to do, which is have our son meet one of her daughters, and it was just a big no-no. And before that can happen, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So God revealed that to me, and I kept telling my husband, something about to happen. And God said, quit your job and get your baby. Okay, so that's what I did. And he told me, he literally said, if you don't get your baby from this lady, you're going to be sacrificing him. So I quit my job that same day, and I've been a housewife again ever since then. Because I was a housewife before that, but God told me to go to work. So I went to work. Okay. So I forgot where I was at. How God revealed to me in the spiritual. The physical. So the Instagram thing, and this was like the last time I told my husband, okay, this is your mom. You can take him over there, but you have to stay with him. He took him over there, and he came home with some books and some whatever for my son, and then like a bag of aloe vera plant that she's planting, right? That same day, or like the next day, that same day, our doorknob broke off the front door, our toilet handle broke, and I was like, baby, there's some witchcraft happening. I'm trying to tell you, God already told me it's your mom. So what did she give to you that has witchcraft on it? And he was like, you know what? When we was living in her house, one day we came in the house and he turned the door. He said he didn't move it that hard. The door just fell off. So he was like, that happened again. I think that's coming from her house. I'm like, okay. I went around and I threw everything away that she gave. She gave diapers and a book, and I just threw it in the trash. But when I picked up the aloe vera, there was like this dark strong energy that was just so heavy. And I was like, baby, this is what the witchcraft is. And I threw it in the trash. So my son hasn't been back over there ever since. And if I'm being honest, my husband has been making me aware of the bad family that he came from since the very beginning. But because I didn't personally experience it, I was like, oh, that's your mom. Call your mom. Or, oh, you know, as a believer, number one, yes, encourage relationships, but don't encourage. If somebody goes against Jesus Christ, it don't matter who they are. Don't try to. And they already said they're not going to change or not. Don't try to force it because you're only going to harm yourself. So by us interacting and being around them, she thought that she could just continue to do witchcraft on us because we're allowing her in our life. And when I tell you, there's so many things that family has done. There's so many things that they did when we got engaged.